But let's move on to the crux of the matter. Okay, the final two, which Cody we expected, and CM Punk was the other guy. Before we talk about CM Punk's injury, which unfortunately we're going to have to talk about after this, but let's talk about how it felt to see Cody and Punk star and be the last two guys and put in some work at the end before Cody eliminated CM Punk. Let's start with Robert.
Well, I did think it would come down to the two of them, especially given the promo on the Monday Night Raw leading up to Royal Rumble. They were, to me, the two favorites to win it, but I did still think Cody was still the favorite by if a somewhat significant margin, where if CM Punk had won, it would have been a surprise for me. Even though I do have him as the second favorite to win it, I still think it would have gone to Cody for sure. But yeah, it was the right call for them to be the last two. Now, I didn't know about the injury, if none of us did, until much later.
On, Robert. I don't want to talk about the injury yet. We're going to talk about that next. Let me get a comment from Vlad about Cody and Punk being the final two at the Royal Rumble. What did you think of that? I kind of know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
Well, you know what I'm going to say because I've been saying it to you in text messages, but this was, I don't know if it was specifically to just stick it to AW or not, but even Cody mentioned in the post whatever thing that he expected this to happen in AW. Now, if that doesn't twist the knife deep into their backs, I don't know what does. They're two of the prominent stars in the wrestling world right now. The last two at the Royal Rumble both have AW ties, both left in kind of weird terms, especially CM Punk. Yeah, so it was
a trip. This was a trip.
It was a great moment for wrestling fans, and I also thought it was a great last when they got to just the two of them. They had this really kind of epic match that kind of started unfolding.
Yes, it was like a fucking match, which is incredible considering Punk was injured the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, considering that he just, again, well, we'll get to that, as we said, that he just tore his triceps again, that he managed to proceed to have a full-fledged 10-minute thing with Cody, which was great. You know, back and forth, action, left and right, left you kind of at the edge of your seat. Now, yes, I agree with Robert. I kind of thought Cody would prevail at the end just because logically it makes more sense story-wise for me. If that's what the direction I'd go with Cody. So not surprised at the result, but tickled to death that it was those at the final two because of the ties to AEW and the fact that they wrestled in AEW and both left the company to do bigger and greater things. You know, that's really the only way you could look at it.
It was humiliating for AEW. Let's just put it the way it is, okay? It's humiliating. Yeah. This is a disaster. They couldn't use those two superstars to get them anywhere near their potential. And then they let them slip away. And AEW is struggling with the ratings and Collision ratings. Oh my God, I don't know if you guys have seen that. It dropped below 300,000 on last Saturday.
Yeah.
So
that's not surprising.
Okay, Punk and Cody, they starred. It was cool. They both did really well. But just as Robert mentioned, there was an injury, and Drew McIntyre DDT'd CM Punk, and he tore his bicep, but he finished the Royal Rumble match. But he's out for WrestleMania, as we saw on Raw. So, Robert, you were going to comment on this. Sorry, I cut you off.
To go back to the matchup between Cody and Seth being the last two at Royal Rumble.
Cody and Punk. Cody
and Punk, sorry. I did see at some points when CM Punk was lifting Cody up for the go to sleep, it looked like CM Punk was struggling a little bit, but I thought he was just trying to sell fatigue or pain or whatever. I thought that he was just acting. I didn't actually think he was injured until we found out later. Okay, yeah, the injury that we eventually found out about, that's very unfortunate. It actually reminded me of a promo that Jon Moxley said about CM Punk and AEW. I don't know if you remember. Oh well, yes. Well, no, there was this.
You remind us. I usually try to ignore Moxley, so please remind us.
Well, the only part about the promo that I remember from Jon Moxley, he was clearly talking about CM Punk when he said "fragile ego, fragile mind, fragile body."
Damn.
He used those words to describe CM Punk, I believe that promo happened. I want to say after the match where CM Punk got a foot injury during his matchup against Jon Moxley. And so I immediately thought of that promo when I heard about CM Punk's latest injury. But yeah, this is unfortunate. I don't know what ultimately the WrestleMania plans were for CM Punk. I don't know if they were really going to go through with the potential dream match with Stone Cold, or if he was going to end up fighting Seth Rollins. Either way, it would have been interesting to watch. I would have been into it, whichever way. I would have preferred Stone Cold. But anyways, from what I've heard, this is going to take several months to recover from, and that's unfortunate. You know, he is one of the needle movers in the wrestling business, so it sucks that he's not going to be involved in WrestleMania.
It's unfortunate, and it's really sad because this keeps happening, right, Vlad?
Yeah. I think at this point you have to say that as much as I like him, and I think as much as maybe we all like him, that he just can't. He's like, let me compare it to like Chris Paul, something that K-Han can relate to.
Yeah, when he was on the Clippers. Yeah.
He just can't stay healthy when it matters most, and he can't get through these tough, big shows, these matches, because his body's kind of beat up. He had that 7-year break from wrestling, and it's hard to kind of get back into it like that and keep your body right when you're not going, like all these guys do 200-plus days a year, or a lot of them do at the very least. So it's tough when you have that type of time off, and we're talking about years and years, and then you try to get back into it like that, and you're not really that young anymore, you're in your 40s. It's hard to kind of maintain all of that going forward. So at the very least, it's hard to rely on him to get through something injury-free anymore, as much as we like his character, as much as we like his promos. And I like him. You know, I'm a big fan. I like all that stuff. I like everything about the way he thinks of wrestling from a psychological standpoint. I appreciate all of that. But at the same time, it kind of is what it is. If you're injury prone, you're injury prone. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul, you name it, Anthony Davis, whatever.
And it wasn't even like a crazy move. It was just a DDT.
Exactly. So that's the thing. So if that's going to get him injured, what can you really expect?
So you think they should keep trying again and again and again to get him to be in major storylines? AEW kind of gave up on him. They're like, he's a troublemaker and he can't even stay in the ring. So they gave up. I mean, this was a minor victory for AEW. You know how we were saying the Royal Rumble Final 2 was a disaster for AEW? This was a little bit of a saving grace because it made them look like...
I agree. No, it didn't make them look like they were right, but it made them... I don't think that's the thing. They didn't get rid of him because of his injuries. They would have kept coming back to him if he wasn't.
Yeah, right.
But it sucks when the guy just keeps going off TV for 6 months. It's like, what can you do with the guy? You know what I mean? But
I agree. I completely agree. And that's why I'm saying that at this point, it's hard to rely on him.
It's more than disappointing, Robert. It's almost sad. Like, it's sad to the point where, like, dude, you're going to give up. But, I mean, they tried to save it on Raw. So they had a good segment where he came out and at least, you know, he had a great promo. Segment. And then he even got physical with Drew McIntyre, because Drew McIntyre came out and said, you deserve this, or I'm happy this happened. I prayed for this.
I prayed for this.
I'm like, whoa.
And McIntyre is getting, all praise to McIntyre because he's getting great heat from this. He got great heat from that whole promo.
But I just wanted to say that I'm glad at least they used the injury. They didn't just send him home and say, all right, you know what, we'll see you in 6 months. At least he got physical a little bit with what he could do. It was pretty good, the little spat they had with Drew McIntyre. So I guess they're going to try again. They're going to wait for him to come back and then have a feud with Drew and then see if they could push him into next year's WrestleMania, which, you know, God, I hope so, but man. Okay.
I think they have no choice but to try again because, as Robert said, there's very few guys in today's wrestling that really move the needle, really make a difference in your business, like really make a difference. CM Punk is one of those guys. They have no choice but to keep trying as long as he wants to keep trying himself, because there's very few guys out there that really make a difference to your business in wrestling today. It's not like the old days where there's like maybe 10 guys, 15 guys, 20 guys that you could point to that like, okay, these guys could carry a company. In today's wrestling, the way it's been booked, especially WWE wrestling, there's not that many guys, as we know, that can really make a difference in your business. And he's one of them that does. So they have to keep going with him as long as he's willing to.
Give it another try. I don't know. If it happens again next year, like, God, I'm just like, forget it, bro. Like, I love you, Punk, but just go home, man. Anyways.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just saying from a business standpoint, they have to try because he makes a difference.